Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. We are going to make a couple cards. Actually, it's going to be the same kind of design, but I need a Father's Day card and a birthday card for my husband. So a Father's Day card for my dad and a birthday card for my husband. So I figured I can use the same design, basically, and the same techniques and the same supplies and get two beautiful masculine cards. So first thing I'm going to do is make a background, and my husband has been retiling our bathroom, and it's looking so good, and these tiles are gorgeous. We've had them for a while. But they are these glazed cobalt blue quatrefoil tiles, and I thought it'd be so cool if I could reproduce that on a card. So I'm going to use some blue acrylic paint and some gloss medium to get kind of a glossy, to make this kind of like glossy blue tile. Basically, I want to get the same look that our bathroom tiles, our bathroom vanity tiles will have, so I want it to be really glossy and beautiful, and hopefully this is enough for two cards. And I've got a couple pieces of cardstock. And so here's a tip: if you ever have a sketchbook that you don't like, it's for whatever reason it's just not working for you, maybe the paper isn't great. This paper, it's just too soft. It doesn't bite into my media, and I didn't really like it. So I decided that I'm going to use it for when I need to glue things, when I need scrap paper for embossing or whatever, and it's such a great use for this paper. I'm going to take some masking tape and tape this down. You can use a plastic stencil for this, no problem. I just have this one by Dreamweaver, and it's got a little, hopefully it works all right. It's got a little bit of a bend to it. 2014 by Lynn Harlow, LX7027. I don't know if this company is still in business. I hope so. I have quite a few of their stencils, and they are lovely, and we're just going to tape this down so it doesn't move when we use our embossing paste. Now this paper is bigger than what I need, and I'm doing that so that I'll be able to handle it and let it dry, and then I'll trim it out to fit on my card. I don't know if I really need to do the top and bottom, but where it's got a little bit of a bend in it, I just want to be sure it's not gonna move on me. Okay, let's hope. Here's hoping. Okay, so I'm going to use this scraper tool, and this one's by Royal and Langnickel. So is the paint and the gloss medium I'm using, but you can use any brand. And let's see if I don't have enough. Hopefully this will be enough for at least. Oh, you know what? I might need more than this. I think I'm going to need more than this. You know what? Let's just go ahead and mix up some more. I don't like to go over too many times. I'm going to mix up a bunch because I got a whole other one to do. I don't like to go over too many times because it can get underneath the stencil. I hope that doesn't happen because that would be a bummer. I'm going to be covering up a lot of this stencil though with different stuff. So if I do have a bad area, I'll just, make sure that's where I put my embellishment. A mistake is just an opportunity for embellishments. I'm wondering if maybe it would have been better to use the palette knife. Well, I can always do it until I get it right, I guess. All right, I hope that is sufficiently coated. I feel like I need a little bit more up there. Okay. I'll try a different technique for the next one, but let's see how this is looking. Not perfect. I think it might look cool, but it's definitely not perfect. So let's try this again. I'm still going to keep that. I'll use it. I can use it on one of the cards. I'll figure out a way. So let me tear this out and just kind of try to clean it off a little bit. Oh, that's kind of a cool, actually, that looks kind of cool right there. Let's clean it off on a fresh piece of scrapbook paper. I mean, sketch paper. It might come out really cool, and then I might want to keep it. We'll get there one way or the other, won't we? Let's take a rag and just kind of. That does have a cool look to it. Just make sure it's dry, basically. I have a feeling I might have gotten some little fabric fuzzies on this. Maybe a plastic one would be the better way to go. I've done this technique a lot with plastic ones and haven't had quite such an issue, but let's give it another try. Let's see, I have another sheet of paper right here. I guess I was a little optimistic thinking I'd only need 2 sheets. I wonder if, you know what, I'm going to try it on the tabletop. Maybe this sketchbook has a little bit too much of a bounce to it. Maybe that's why. I'm going to say plastic stencils work better for this technique. But it doesn't have to be perfect, because this is going to be kind of a grungy card, so that will work in our favor. Alright, so I think that's going to stay a little flatter. This time I think what I'm going to do is actually put this on the, kind of like I'm silk screening, put this on the tape and then drag it over with my spatula. Maybe I can do it in one go, and then I won't have to go over it again and risk getting it underneath the metal. That seems like a lot, doesn't it? Well, we'll see if it all ends up on the other end of my thing. Alright, so, oh, if only this was a little bit wider. I actually have, you know what, I've got a Dreamweaver stencil tool. I'm going to see if I can find that. I don't know where my Dreamweaver tool is, but I found this big Bondo scraper, so I'm going to try that and see how that works. Ooh, just about perfect. Maybe I'll just see if I can kind of float over the palette knife. All right. Moment of truth. Perfect! Oh, that's perfect. I think I need to make a couple more of these. That came out so good. So, yay. Alright, so I've got, that's the way to do it. Get a piece that's big enough to cover the whole thing. Nice. Okay, I think I'll do another one, at least one more of these, at least on some scrap paper or something. And we'll let that dry and we'll commence with the next process, the next piece of the puzzle. I thought an easy stamp to use would be this one from Close to My Heart. It's a typewriter and you've got these sentiments, and I was reminded of this because Tim Holtz actually is coming out with a very similar stamp set. This is no longer available from Close to My Heart, so if you like the look of this, I would go check out his stamp set. And there's other typewriters, you know, obviously use what you like. Find clip art if you don't want to buy a stamp. But I thought this was really useful. That's why I bought it at a stamp show when there's a Close to My Heart lady that was selling them there. And I've actually used it quite a bit, and I have used it for a Father's Day card before. So I'm gonna use it for my husband's birthday and my dad's Father's Day card. I don't think my father will remember that I used that that one. Maybe he will, but I don't know. My mom probably will, because she'd be like, I scrapbook your cards, Lindsay. You're getting a little stale. But it's a handmade card. I'm going to do it differently because I have some other stuff I'm using that I know I haven't combined with this. So, and we buy stamps to use them a bunch of times. So you wouldn't buy a stamp just to use it once, because that's ridiculous. Right? And I think I've got that pretty well lined up. And I think I'll probably use my scan and cut to cut these out, because it will cut around the outside much better than I can do by hand. So hopefully I get a really good impression. I've got a foam mat under my cardstock, and I'm not sure what cardstock this is. I think it's probably Staples 110 pound. Oh, I like that. I like that in a lighter brown. Hopefully it's enough of a dark enough image that I can, maybe I should do it in black. You know what? I'm thinking maybe this needs to be black to show up. I'm gonna go get a black ink pad. Okay, I think I'm gonna do this in black ink. This is Altenew Obsidian Pigment Ink. Any pigment ink is fine for this, but I've noticed that when I use my skin and cut things out, if I emboss it, it seems to do a little bit better. I'm not sure why. Like it can, maybe it's just darker and crisper, I'm not sure. But let's stamp this a couple times. And I'll, you know, I'm not gonna throw the other one away. I'll save it and use it in something else. I have like just kind of, my card cart has all this random stuff that I throw in there. Hopefully you got a good impression. Oh, beautiful. Oh, I love how vintage that looks. The nice thing about like crafting and instead of following trends, using what you like, is that all your stuff tends to go together, tends to match. Now you're probably thinking, Lindsay, you just said you saw Tim Holtz's stamps. You're kind of following a trend. Yeah, true. But, you know, the trends come back. So if you have a typewriter stamp from 15 years ago like I do, then does this say what year it is? I don't see the year on that. But, you know, you've got a stamp from years ago and it's back in style, then why wouldn't you use it? You know, it just proves that you made a good investment. And if you only buy what you like, then you're not going to be sucked into trends and buying things you don't like, but you bought because you saw other people using them and you were worried about missing out, you know? So, yeah, buy and use what you like. I always stamp extra because sometimes you need to make a quick card and then you've got all those die cuts lying around and it's really handy to have. Perfect. Perfect enough. All right, so I'm going to do One Happy Father's Day. And the others, I'll do Happy Birthday because I'm sure you can always use a happy birthday. But I thought this was super cute because then you've got all that extra space to write stuff in. All right, so let's see if we can emboss this bad boy. Hopefully our ink hasn't dried. I need a scrap of paper. I'm going to grab that old sketchbook again and grab a dry piece of paper out of there. Well, this was not ideal. I ripped my paper, but it'll work. It'll work fine. Nothing's ideal, right? Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say. I'm just going to try to get this coated. Stitch in time. Stitch in time saves 9, isn't that what they said? I definitely should have. Well, not ideal. I don't know if I have enough, if the brown ink is wet enough to hold the embossing powder, but that's okay. That's just a... Oh, it is! Oh, how lovely. All right. Nice. Okay. So, this goes back in the jar to use for another project. And we're going to heat emboss that. So I'm going to let my heat gun warm up for a couple minutes because I'm just using the small old Ranger one. It's great for drying your watercolor paper and it's okay for embossing, but the other embossing gun I have is just way too big and hot and I'm afraid I'm going to burn myself. So this is the one that I use, and what you do to a heat emboss, you put the embossing powder on and then you just heat it up until it looks glossy. I probably won't do all this on camera because, you know, you'll be bored out of your mind, but I'll do one of these just so you can see the change in case you've never seen embossing before. which could be quite possible if you're here typically for my painting tutorials and you're not a stamper. But see how it gets nice and glossy? That's how you know it's heated up. And then once you have it all glossy, move along to the next thing so you don't burn it. Because if you overheat it, the embossing powder can like absorb into the paper, and that's not a great look. So yeah, we'll be back after I have die cut these out. Back again, reunited, and it feels so good. We're back here. It's the next day actually. I just want to show you the difference between the two different ways that I cut these on the Scan and Cut. This one I cut with a 0.4 border, and this one I cut, which is probably about a 32nd of an inch, and this one I cut right on the lines. So I mean, it really just depends on what you like. There was a little like hairy bit from the ink pad there, so it left a little nub. I'm just gonna snip that off. But, you know, it just depends on what you like the look of, honestly. And this one, it could not be recognized by the Scan and Cut. It recognized the happy birthday, but not the outline because it was too light. So I had to hand cut this. So, you know, you don't need a Scan and Cut. I really like it, and I do have videos on how to use one if you're curious. I'll try to remember to look it up, but if you just search Frugal Crafter Scan and Cut, it'll come up. It's just a kind of a basic how-to. I'm not fancy with it. I only use it to cut out stamped images. It does a lot more, but go to Julie Faye Fan Balzer's channel if you want to know more about that. Well, let's put together a card. So we're going to start off with, these are the panels that are dried. I have the other messy panel I actually used on a card already, which I'll show you at the end of the video, but I like how these look kind of like tiles, and I'm happy with that. So let's grab a card base. This is a 5" by 7" base, and then I've got this copper panel I'm going to put on top, and you're probably wondering why there's a big hole in it. And that is because I don't like to waste, and so if I know I'm going to be using something, especially fancy cardstock, like metallic, this is a pearl cardstock, and I don't know the brand. I bought this on clearance at like a stamp show probably 10 years ago, and I hadn't even opened the package, which is so shameful, so I'm like, we're using this. I love copper. I love complementary colors, and navy and copper, you know, blue and orange, those are opposites, and they look really good together. So a tip when you're using anything for just a matting layer is to die cut stuff out of the center. I'm just going to try to center that up, but I've got to kind of lean over. So mind my messy hair in this shot. You know, use a die cut or a punch to get some mileage out of the center of your panel. And then I'm going to either add this one here or this one I did on book paper. I did this one with the leftover stuff. Actually, I think I like that book paper one, so I think I'm going to use that. Even though it's not perfect, I think that's alright. It doesn't have to be perfect. I like it. I like it that it's kind of distressed. Alright, I'm going to give this a good amount of adhesive. Actually, these dried flatter than I was expecting. I was expecting I'd have to use like score tape, really heavy duty adhesive, but I am going to put quite a bit of adhesive on there. And even though this is like thin book paper, I'm really surprised at how flat it dried. So I'm going to actually justify this up a little bit higher. So I have, I'm just going to try to make sure I get the top 3 edges pretty uniform. I just want an equal copper border on those, because once I stick this down, it's going to be stuck. That paper is going to be way too fragile. But look at that. That's nice and flat. You can't see that I cut out the inside of that. And we've got this gap down here, so what I'm going to do is use this washi tape. I'm telling you, I am using the favorites. I'm using the latest, not the latest and greatest, the oldies and moldies. I want to make sure I get a good amount of glittery there. And the thing with washi tape is it doesn't last forever. So, you know, use it. Look at this. The gold is peeling up from that tape already, so it's only a matter of time before A, it loses its stickiness, B, it loses its printing, because I mean this should look like that, but the gold's been peeling up, so it's going to work good for this distressed type of feel I have going here. But it's just a reminder that, you know, use your stuff. Now I had this scrap of burlap fabric. It was like the tail end of a roll, but I saved it because I'm like, that's a neat little texture. So I'm going to cut off a square of it. A little bit larger than I think I need, because I can always cut it down more. And I'm going to pull off some threads. I actually will probably make the edges a little bit more random, but let's see what we got first before we do any more trimming. Make sure it's big enough. And I think that's a little big, but we can save those to thread buttons with too if we want. So I'll do the Happy Father's Day. Oh, I want to use this panel that I cut out of the copper. Let's put that kind of behind there. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut this out down a little bit. I'm going to cut this a little bit randomly on the side here. Really should do this over a trash can. I'll sweep this all over into the trash can off my table. There. And move that over a bit. I like to have things a little bit off center. Or maybe I'll even go that way. I like to have things overlapping as well. I ironed this burlap too before I got started here. Because it was the inside part of a roll. It was like literally the tail end of a roll. So, so it was very crimped. Now I want to use this little die cut here. So I've got some die cuts coming out. I've got actually a line coming out. By the time this goes up, it'll probably be a few days away from launch, or maybe, I don't know when this is going to come out, but it's launching on May 24th at Craft Stash, and I'll have a link down below that you can click. I should probably wait. Maybe I'll wait and have this come out later. But I've got a suite of products, and we're going to use some of them today. But I also, you know, I like to mix my new and old, and one of the reasons when I am going to design something, I make sure I design things that I would use time and time again, that I don't think is just going to be like kind of fast fashion-y. I want stuff that's going to be, you know, timeless, stand the test of time, work with other things I have and other things that other people have. So then that could go on there. Now, let's just look and see what these other options will look like. So that's with the black. That looks pretty, I like the border. I usually like the border because it kind of gives it a matte. That's with the brown. Excuse me, I don't think that's enough contrast. And then we got this one without the border, but I don't like that as much on this because I feel like it's too busy behind it. So having that little bit of a matte is going to help. But those will stay until I need them. All right, that's the basic layout. Now I think I want to do some little buttons, and I die cut some different things. So I'm just gonna, when I'm like cutting down, trimming down stuff, I try to take the scraps and use other things with the scraps so that I don't just waste. And so I had taken the button dies that are in my new kit, and I just cut some extras. I just die cut some extra shapes just so I would have them, because why not, right? Just trying to see what colors, what patterns, textures I would like. And I also got little collage booklets that, like, this one's all like nature and butterflies, and I thought that's kind of cute. What else do we got? That's cute. Ooh, I like that one. I like that one quite a bit. That might be kind of big. I'm looking for blues or oranges. I like that. I think I might I'll just pull that one out for now. If not, I can use it on the inside of the card to decorate. I like that too. I like that one. But I don't know if I want something upright. Well, we'll try both of these here. And I can use one on the inside. I don't think these are stickers, but sometimes I'm mistaken. And, oh, you know what? It is a sticker. Huh, that's a sticker. Interesting. All right, I'm going to give this a postage edge with these decorative scissors. I'll kind of go with the postage edge of that die, the die cut. Huh, the other one, I'll show you a card I made in a minute to kind of practice, and I glued it down because I didn't realize it was a sticker. All right, so let's start adhering some stuff here. And the nice thing about having some of this adhered over this is that if that gets sticky, where it was a gloss medium, it might get sticky in like humidity or whatnot. This should like keep it from like sticking to the envelope when you mail it. Or you could always put up like a sheet of glassine or something in there if you wanted to. Let's yeah, let's put that on like that. Oh, interesting. I should write on that pad that those are stickers because I know I'll forget. Because I can go quite a while between using using them. Okay, and then I also wanted to use some little, like, I have these little postage stickers. They're postage stamps, but they're washi tape, but they're meant to look like little stamps, and they're so cute. This one says coffee. Oh, I kind of wish it was one of these was horizontal, but that's all right. And now I'm going to figure out what I want to do as far as buttons. That's a little bit too bold, I think. You do that. Maybe do that stamp on this one. Right, like that. And maybe stamp on a little white one too. I could have stamped those both at the same time if I was thinking about it. All right. Okay, and now I think I'll take, maybe I'll take this little string and see if I can tie that little scrap. I don't know, that's pretty tiny. I don't know if I can tie that or not, but I find a longer one. Oh, look at that, a longer one right over here. This will be no problem. There we go. Because I was just going to throw that away, and now I actually have a use for it. So that worked out pretty well. That can go right there. This one, I think I might actually just take a sliver of cardstock for that one. That might be a little too thick. Yeah, that's too thick. I can't cut that down. I was scanning and cut because my scissor technique is not great. Paper is so much easier to thread than string. And then, see? Looks like you've got thread in there, or leather or something. But it's just a scrap of paper left over from something else on your project. And just squish down the rest of that. And then this guy, well, maybe I'll do another thread one. I like to use the thread, like the burlap, because it's an actual texture, as opposed to just like smooth paper, which is a texture, you know. Actually, it's probably easier to put the string through the front of a die cut, because that's where the paper would be like smoother to go through. That would be the right side of it. I have different scissors here because, like, this is cloth and ribbon, this is paper, and this is decorative. Alright, I also want to do some stamping on here, so I'm going to move those out of the way for a second. And I'm going to stamp my postmark here. This is another stamp from my new collection. Actually, if you have the Paper Craft Society box I did a few years ago, it's a very similar theme, and still be some duplication. So just kind of keep that in mind. Do I want to do that? I kind of do, but I'm not sure if the ink will dry over the washi material. But If it doesn't, that's fine. I think it will. But if it doesn't, I might just blot it actually. I'm going to blot it with a napkin. Just to take off any... Oh, you know what? I think it's going to dry. But I am going to blot it. Okay. Now we're going to do some gluing. Okay. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like overlapping. Overlapping elements just kind of gives it a better feel, in my opinion. And I'm going to use this glue. This glue is, it's kind of like hot glue, but it's cold. So you can use hot glue right now if you don't want it, if you don't have this. This can be a little aggravating, to be honest. It can be kind of messy. I'm going to just kind of wipe it just in case. It gets all these like really bad glue boogers. But it is a fantastic glue. I got to figure out where my button's going to go before I get too carried away. Now I don't want them lined up. There we go, that's better. Okay, so see, just when you take the cap off, it's already starting to like blob out some glue. It grabs very quickly. And the nice thing about embellishments like this is that they're flat, so they shouldn't require extra postage when you are going to mail them. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of glue, tape adhesive, strong tape adhesive on the back of this because I'm going to use some wet glue as well, but I want just something to kind of clamp it a little bit. Then I'm going to do this glue because this is going to also grab the burlap. You can see it's stringy like hot glue. It's interesting. I could cut a larger hole, but if I leave it for a second, it's gonna make a huge blob that I'm gonna stick onto. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a second as it just kind of slowly expands. I'm gonna set that where I want it. For the kind of clamping. Hopefully my fingers were a little dirty, but it's on paper, so that would totally make sense. Now underneath that, I'm going to get a nice big blob of that glue. Then you got to cap it up real quick. Get back in there. And I store it upside down like that. Okay, so there is the outside of the card all decorated. I think that looks really great. And I'm gonna put, I'm just gonna put this stamp block down, a couple stamp blocks down or stamp pads, something to weight it down while it just sets up for a few minutes. And I'm gonna clean up the space, and then when we come back, we're gonna decorate the inside of the card. All right, our stuff is pretty well secured, and we're gonna work on the inside of the card. And I thought I would start with a stamp. And like I mentioned before, I've got some new stamps and stuff coming out. There's a little sneak peek, but I will do an unboxing of the entire line when it's available, and it's set up so you can just buy what you want. You don't have to get the whole thing. You can get just the stamps, just the dies. There's a stamp set that has dies with it, but it's a very useful, timeless type of set with my love of like vintage sewing supplies and that sort of thing. So if you think that's something that you would enjoy, it's coming soon. Okay, I want to put a little pattern on there. And yeah, I think I like that. Orange and blue, I love that combination. So I'm going to set that aside to dry just for a second. And also in my collection I have library pocket die and sleeve, or card and little sleeve. And I cut this out of vellum. So I'm just going to very carefully fold it. Vellum holds its creases so well. You have to be careful on the little side tabs though. Just going to fold those in really carefully. And then for adhesive on this, I'm just going to use the super skinny score tape. This stuff right here, it's like 1/8 of an inch. And it will be visible, so I just try to apply it really carefully. Just try to keep it parallel with the side of the pocket. It's not super, because it's a printed vellum, it's not going to be super obvious. But, you know, you can still see the adhesive. And then we've got this little sleeve to go in it, like that. And you can leave it like that for writing just plain, but I like to decorate it a bit. Plus, I don't really love my handwriting, so I try to disguise it as much as possible. So let's pick up this little lace trim here. And I'm going to stamp that right along the bottom. I'm just going to try to even it up, like line it up so that the center bump is in the middle of this. And that looks pretty cute, I think. I'll set that aside. And then I also want to stamp on my envelope, and I like this little border, so I'm going to do it twice along the back of my envelope here. It'll fit perfectly. It'll fit perfectly twice across. And again, I gotta get my head in the way, so I apologize. And I'm stamping on a foam pad here. You can use a piece of fun foam. This happens to be a stamping pad, but it's just basically thick fun foam. Sometimes use it as a piercing mat too, so now I gotta look over it again to help line it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. It ain't Hallmark, baby. All right, and then another way that I'd like to embellish this, since I plan on giving this card in person, I want to take, I cut from a little scrap of that copper paper, I cut a little book plate. This is also a die that's in my collection. You could actually use a real book plate if you want to, but it is a little bit easier to if you want to adhere paper to paper than metal to paper. And I'm going to use some baker's twine. I just have to be careful not to warp the, I'm going to turn this around though so I don't smear in the ink while it's drying. I'm using VersaFine Clear pigment ink, so it's really crisp and strong, but it dries a little bit quicker than your regular pigment ink. You can heat emboss it if you're quick, but it does not stay wet as long as regular pigment ink. Just be careful when you tie it. You don't tie it super tight and crunch your cardstock. And these are wafer thin dies, so they're not going to cut through like mat board. I actually do have some old Sizzix dies that I can cut. Like, they're bigger book plates than this, because it's hard to get really dainty things with a steel roll die. But I have old Sizzix ones that cut big book plates, and I found those to be really ones I used a lot. Because I love metal book plates. These are smaller, more like what the size you'd get from a metal book plate. Kind of a classic. Buttons, book plates, photo corners, all those things that are wonderful to cut out of your scraps so you don't waste them. And then you have beautiful embellishments that you don't have to be precious about because you just cut them out of scraps. Gotta be careful when I pull this tight that I don't crunch. It's like I gotta get it tight enough, but I don't want to crunch it. I think it's gonna be a little loose, but that's all right. I'm gonna put a dab of glue back there to hold it. Yeah, it's a little loose, but you know, we're doing this on camera. You can do a better job at home, I'm sure. And then I'm just gonna put a couple little dabs of glue behind the book plate to keep it in place, and then I'll put something on it to weight it. This is actually Loctite super glue. It came in a little subscription box, and I love the dispenser. But since I'd opened it, I'm giving the subscription box contents, the crafts, to a mom that has a young crafty child. But I didn't want to give them the super glue because I already opened it. Plus, I don't know if you really want a little kid running around with super glue. And I'm going to set that aside. Hopefully that will keep it pressed enough to dry. And, oh, I'm running out of table space. I think it's funny that the most perfect background I made I'm not using for this project. I like the grunginess. Okay, so now we're going to decorate the inside. And don't worry if you get little bits of stuff not where you want it. It's fine. And I'm going to use some washi tape because don't we all have a lot of washi tape? And we want to use it up, so I thought this would be a good opportunity. Whoops, that one's tearing. Because if you don't use your washi tape, then you lose your washi tape because it does not last forever. So you might as well get some good use out of it while it's still usable, right? We buy it to use it. We didn't buy it to hoard it. Or maybe we did buy it to hoard it, but no point hoarding it because it won't keep, you know? Let's see, what else do I want to do? I want to do something along there. Maybe we'll do this one. You can kind of tell as your tape gets older, it gets harder to, oh, actually, no, that's like a sideways design. I don't want to do that one. Actually, a lot of them are kind of sideways designs because of the way the tape goes, but I like to use them kind of like you would strips of paper. So you could use strips of paper that are like the paper that's by your die cut or your paper trimmer. You know, you always have those strips of pattern paper from projects. This is a great way to use them. They can be random little strips. We'll cover with that little smudge of ink. I want to put this, I'll put that little border in there too. I cut that out of a little scrap of that copper paper that I had left. Let's see if this will hold it. I hope so. It should. I mean, I like this because it's got these little squeezy things on the side that make it really easy to dispense just little drops of this glue. And this glue is very gel-like. Much easier to deal with than that beacon. Oh, I probably could use this to glue those buttons down. But it wouldn't, I don't think it would have worked on the burlap. I think the burlap is too thick and unwieldy. I think you need these to be pretty flat. But paper to paper, hopefully it'll do pretty good. Oh, it wants to glue to your fingers though. That's not great. Oh, I'm making a mess. I'm making more of a mess with this than I would have with the other stuff. I'm just going to try to press it down with this plastic. Hopefully it won't glue to the plastic. There we go. Yeah, that's messy. I should have done it with the beacon. Oh well, it's fine. Everything's fine. And let's do some more different tapes. So I've got this one that's got Paris stuff on it, which is going to be great for my husband's birthday card. Because we're going to Paris. Well, not we're going to Paris, we're going to France, but... And I want another one to kind of fill in the gap. Let me do this gray one. This is pretty... oh, you know what? I could do the special... I have a special delivery one. Let's do that one. Even though it's sideways, I still think it's going to be cute here. Let's put that black stripy one in there again too. I should move that one over. I'll do the black stripy one in the middle. I did that as a border on a different card, but because this is not long for the world. This is, I can't find the end. I like when you can get little glints of gold, you know, metallic. I think that looks really cute. Okay, and now we've got our vellum pocket. I gotta figure out where I want to put that. I think I'll put it down. I'll center it up maybe. And let me do, I think I'll use this and I'll do just little dots of this super glue. Hopefully that works. I think that's what I used on the other one. Just try to make it fairly uniform so it doesn't look, if it shows it doesn't look bad. Actually, I think I want to put it like that. And then a little pocket. Make sure it's dry. Yep, and the pocket will go in there. Oh, you know what we could do? Let's do a little pull tab. So easy to do with washi tape. You just fold it over and then get a little tab to pull the little thing out. And oh, I trimmed out this little butterfly from the that washi sticker paper. We could put that right on the front of our little vellum envelope. And how cute is that? I think that's adorable. You could put more little stickers on there if you wanted to, but I think that's so cute. Here is the envelope. This is the first envelope I did actually, so it's all dry. For hand delivering, obviously. You could stamp a little frame if you wanted to mail it. And then this is, where's the other one that I made? Right here. This was the one I made earlier, just to practice. So again, I did the washi tape strips. I didn't do stamping in the background because I didn't think of it. But yeah, there they are. I think this was really fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it inspires you to mix some of your old supplies with your new supplies, collage it up, have fun, and enjoy the process. And I will link up what I can find in the comments below, or in the video description. See, that's where I cut out the thing. I left it to the backing. I cut it out and glued it on, which actually worked pretty well. But I mean, there's going to be stuff that I'm sure is no longer available, but substitute. Use what you have. And like I said, I think Tim Holtz, I don't know if it's the same size or not, but he's got a typewriter very similar to that with sentiments. So great substitution right there. And if you have this old one by close to my heart, then use that and, you know, get the same look. Anyway, that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.